Mark in the front.
Steve, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. I'm wondering if you could take me back to your playing days, and I'm thinking mostly of Michael, but could be anyone. How did a player like Michael sort of lift a team when things were seemingly at their worst, after a loss like the one that Cleveland had in Game 1, everything going wrong at the worst time? How does a superstar player able to lift someone lift teammates in the face of great adversity?
Well, there's just so much confidence in that player amongst the group. So that's how it was with Michael. You know, if we lost a game, you know, you go back to the hotel, you're upset, and then you go, oh yeah, we got Michael. We're going to win Game 2. And that's the kind of confidence he inspired in the group. And then, you know, the way he carried himself, it was same way, like, we got this, you know. And it's a huge asset to have guys with that kind of confidence. We've got that on our team. I know they've got it with LeBron, and that's why we're both in the finals.
Michael on the right.
Steve, Michael Lee, Yahoo Sports. What have you noticed with Kevin Durant during this postseason run compared to last year? It seemed like last year was a much easier ride, but it seems more challenging. What are you seeing about what he's shown you? Or?
I think just same thing that our team has shown. You know, last year was a pretty smooth ride, and we were clicking. You know, we didn't have injuries. We had a pretty healthy run. I think this year it's just been harder, I think, overall, just because of the cumulative wear and tear of the journey. And so Kevin's been, he's still been great. He hasn't probably been as consistent as he was last year, but neither have we. You know, I would say that about every one of our guys. So it's been a little different vibe. But that's okay. You know, every trip's a little different, and we're right where we want to be, and we're all very confident that we're going to get better from here.
In the center.
Coach Logan Murdoch-Berry in News Group. In the conference call, you said that Andre was doubtful, and he wasn't on the court today. At least we didn't see him. And is there a fear that, you know, he might not make it to this series? Is there any fear of that for you?
It's just day to day. We don't think about, you know, what's going to happen later on. It's just each day he's getting a little better, and he's still doubtful for tomorrow, but making some strides.
Right side, fourth row.
Tom Haberstroh, Bleacher Report. A couple coaches this year had to take a leave of absence with health issues relating to sleep as part of it. You've always been big on work-life balance, and I'm wondering where you got that, who influenced you on that front, and secondly, I was just curious, when do you think you got your best sleep in your career as a player, coach, executive, and broadcaster?
I'll answer the second one first. Player, definitely. Like the game day nap, you know. My good friend Judd Bushler, who just recently became an assistant coach for David Fizdale in New York. He left the Lakers. He joined the Knicks. And when Judd retired, I said, "You missed the game?" He said, "I missed two things: naps and per diem." And so that's the right answer. But naps are like a ritual for players, and it's different as a coach. I think as a player, you sort of earn it with the physical energy that you expend, and then it just feels normal and feels natural. And but that's a game day routine for every player. Well, Marv definitely put me to sleep at times. Yeah, but first part of the question was work-life balance. I think Phil and Pop made a big influence on me. You know, I think when I was a player, I kind of wondered if coaches were like holed up in their office all night, sleeping on the cot. I wasn't exactly sure how it worked. And both those guys had such diverse interests outside of the game. And, you know all the stories about both of them. And I think seeing how interesting they both were, and how devoted to their families they were and their kids, and how interested they were in our lives, what besides just what was going on in basketball. I think they really influenced me. And then when I became a coach, I was obviously lucky. We had a lot of talent, but it's evident pretty quickly that there's only about 5 or 6 ways to guard the screen and roll, and if you think you're going to find another one by being in your office at 11 o'clock at night, you're mistaken. So you gotta put the work in, but you gotta have a good life too.
Ann up front.
Ann Killian, San Francisco Chronicle. One of the talking points since Game 1 has been that with that performance by LeBron and the way it ended, that the Cavs might be very deflated. And as in your experience as a player and a coach, just what are you expecting to see from your opponent tomorrow night?
Well, I know it's not the exact same team, but we had them down 3-1 a couple of years ago, and they might have been deflated, and they came back and won. So we're expecting another great effort from them, and we've been through this too many times. We beat Houston on the road in Game 1, and the narrative was, series is over. And it seems to always be that way. There's just overreaction after a game. And not blaming all of you in this room. It's the other media people who are out on the floor. Those guys don't get it. You guys get it. It's one game, and the series changes with each game, and so all we've done is 1-1, and we're on to the next one.
Tim on the left side.
When you went over the tape, obviously LeBron scored 51, but were you generally okay with the looks you gave up? Do you think they were challenged most of the time, or were you upset with some of those looks?
With him in particular?
Yeah.
Okay with some of them. I didn't think we made him work hard enough, though. I thought everything was smooth sailing for him. And, it's one thing to have a philosophy where you're going to say, hey, we're going to, make this guy beat us and shut everybody else down. You can have that philosophy in general. A lot of teams have done it, with superstars in the past, whether you're talking about Kobe or Michael or LeBron or whoever. But it only works if you actually make the guy have to really use a lot of energy, and so that's not necessarily our strategy. Of course, we're trying to keep other guys down. But we've got to make them work harder in general. I thought our defense was subpar the other night.
When you say make it harder or make him, is that more into him? Is that generally what you think when you say make it harder?
Yeah, I mean, we've studied, the sets that they like to run, and so you get to a certain set, you've got to, know when to put pressure on him, when to back off. And it's kind of typical in a series. The first game, you sort of feel it out, and then you start to get more comfortable. And but yeah, we got to put more pressure on him. We can't just sit back and let him pick us apart.
Ryan Gorsey, San Francisco Examiner. Is Kevin one of those guys where you go back to the hotel and you're like, okay, we have him, we'll be fine, and then a day after after he has a game like he had in Game 1, what do you see out of him in practice?
Yes, Kevin is one of those guys. Ultimate confidence guys. When he's on your side. You think back to Game 7 against Houston, all those shots he hit down the stretch. There's not many people on earth who can do what he can do under pressure in the playoffs. So he's an unbelievable talent and safety valve anytime we need him to get a bucket. He's focused. He knows he didn't play very well in Game 1. He's excited for Game 2.
Those 5 assists that he got, can that help a guy maybe get a little more consistent, a little more confident, even if his shot's not falling?
Kevin's a great all-around player. I mean, he's going to fill up the stat sheet, and he did pass the ball well. I'm not sure a player of that caliber, requires something, an assist to get him going. I think he's got a lot going for him already.
Anthony Schmidt with The Athletic. Could you contrast the defensive challenges for Kevon in this series and Jordan Bell in this series compared to Houston when it was on an island versus Harden? Now it's LeBron, it's Love at times.
Yeah. Well, I think not just for Kevon, but for all of our bigs. The last series was about one-on-one isolation defense and then containing the dribble, step back threes or, contain the dribble and defend without fouling. And it was, repetitive. Our guys got used to that. This is different. When you get switched on to LeBron, he's different from Harden. He's going to look to pass early in a possession. They're running a lot of sets, really good sets where they isolate him, but then you got Korver on a pin down, or you got Love off of a curl, and so there's more going on around that isolated player for the most part with Cleveland, and LeBron obviously such a great passer. He's gonna try to pick you apart.
Thank you, Coach.